This morning, our special guest is Jason Michael Carroll. And Jason, how you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on this morning.
Well, it's great to have you on the show. I know back in June, we had a chance to see your show during your fan club party, and boy, you had a great crowd there.
Oh, thanks. You know, I'll tell you what, I've got some of the best fans in the world. I know everybody says that, but literally, you know, I wanted to show them how much they mean to me by doing the numbers video there at the fan club party. And actually the edits that we've gotten back so far are looking great. It's almost finished, so I'm guessing within another maybe a few days, but I'm guessing a week we should have something out for the numbers video.
Now, Jason, we're talking about the fans as special as they are. Is there a certain song that the fans really ask for you?
You know, one of my most requested songs was a song that up until now was never on a record, and it was a song called Stray that I wrote with Radney Foster. So going back and listening to that, to me, it's one of the coolest things about country music because the fans are really paying attention to our shows. It's one of my most requested songs, and it's never been on an album. That tells you something. And so to go and think about this album in that aspect of we're going to do this for the fans, it really, to me, was a big deal. And I'm really glad to say that Stray is on there.
Now, Jason, this is the big week. The CD's out. Let's first talk about the Numbers song. Now, this was really kind of neat because when we got it in, you did this for a lot of stations and you put the call letters in. Now, that must have been a lot of work.
It did. It was a lot of work. And I mean, it was like 2 full days in the studio of just singing numbers after numbers after numbers. But it really was, by the end of it, it was a lot of fun. We were having a good time with it.
Well, let's talk about the song Numbers. That is a great song. How did you come up with that one?
You know, honestly, that's the only song on this album I did not write. And I'll be honest with you, the reason I wanted to have this song on here was how many times do numbers affect your everyday life? From the time you get up in the morning to, I mean, literally, it just keeps going. The time that you have for your morning commute, what highway do you have to get on? You know, what time is your first meeting? What time do you be home? How much are gas prices, for goodness sakes? You know, to think about numbers in that aspect was definitely a reason I wanted to record it and how much it influences all of us.
Well, I tell you what, it's turned out great for you, Jason. And let's talk about the full CD. Of course, it is available exclusively at Cracker Barrel stores. And if people want to, if they don't have a Cracker Barrel by there, then they can go online and get. But one thing I found out as I was doing some research here is that you at one time worked at Cracker Barrel.
I did. I was a server at Cracker Barrel for 2 years in Henderson, North Carolina, at store 343. Now, up until then, I'd sang in church a little bit growing up, but that was about it. And I remember when I finally started singing like to myself to the in-store radio one night, this lady heard me singing and asked if that was me singing. I said, "Yes, ma'am." And she said, "Well, can you sing to me?" And I'm like, "I guess maybe I need to go ask a manager." So I went and asked a manager, and it was really cool to be able to go and go out there and sing for her, and then wind up getting tips from a table across the restaurant that wasn't even mine. And after that, you know, singing to most of my tables, like whenever they'd ask me to, people would wait for my section to open up to come sit in it.
Now, how did the deal with Cracker Barrel come about?
Well, the entire time I was at Sony, and for selfish reasons, I'll be honest with you, I mean, like I said, I used to work there, so I wanted it pretty bad just on my own, was I would go to Sony every 6 or 7 months when I was there and ask them, okay, can I have a Cracker Barrel album? Because Craig Morgan had one, Montgomery Gentry had one, they were label mates, but every time I'd ask, they'd say, "No, it's not time, you know, it's not really right for you." And so they'd kind of put it away, and I remember thinking, okay, well, after we left Arista a year ago February, first thing I did was call my managers and say, "Hey, let's go have a meeting with Cracker Barrel and get this thing going," and here we are.
Wow, that's fantastic. Now, on the CD, there's a lot of songs on here, but you also did another song that you had out, one of the first songs that hit the number 5 on the charts, and that's Alicia Lies. And why did you pick this one? Actually,
Cracker Barrel picked it, and I think part of the reasoning was Cracker Barrel's very big on familiarity, on consistency. You know, and what I mean by that is if you go into any Cracker Barrel restaurant, and you look at the building, it's exactly the same. The layout of the retail store is going to be identical. The food is consistent with every Cracker Barrel you've ever been to with the recipes they use. So in that frame of mind, I believe, is one of the reasons that they asked for one of my familiar songs, Alyssa Lies, to be put on this record.
Like we said, if there isn't a Cracker Barrel by you can go online to crackerbarrel.com and get that CD. And another question, I know back in 2009, you teamed up with the National Runaway Switchboard. Are you still part of that?
I'm involved with them, not as heavy as we were then, but I still do support what they're doing. I think it's a great cause. And, I still follow them on Twitter and keep up with what's going on.
It's a great organization out there.
Yes, sir, it is. Yes, sir. And any opportunity we have to get involved with them again, I would definitely be a part of it.
Well, Jason, another thing, too, is if people do have Cracker Barrels, you're going to be doing some touring with the Cracker Barrel coming up, aren't you?
Yeah, we've got this idea about going into places, into towns that we're playing, and maybe people that follow me on Twitter at twitter.com/@JMCofficial, we're thinking about doing something called Picking on the Porch, and basically going into those markets where, the band's setting up on stage and they're getting everything set up. And what we're going to do is go out and I'll tweet about, not too long before we get there and make sure that people know where we're at. Do some guitar picking in the rocking chairs on the front porch.
Jason, we wish you the very best. The song Numbers is doing great. Everybody go out and get the CD. It's a great CD, Jason.
You asked me about Runaway Switchboard a minute ago, and I literally just got a tweet from them right after you said that.
That's amazing.
So you can follow them on Twitter at 1-800-RUNAWAY as well.
All right, Jason, always great talking to you.
Hey, you too, buddy. Thank you for having me on.
Jason Michael Carroll this morning on KLMJ.